pleasant Friday to you. Welcome to Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie as we kick off another 3-day week of racing, Father's Day weekend here at the track. I'm Jim Byers alongside Rodney Nelson, Railbird Rodney, and it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit as we get started. My phone says it might dip all the way down by the last race to about 85.
What?
So bring out the jackets. But anyway, fast and firm. Nice conditions, really nice compared to what we dealt with earlier in the meet. No Stuart Elliott tonight. He is still out injured, so we have a couple of replacements for him. I don't have all of them committed to memory, but we do have, we will be announcing them and showing them as we go. We're here to analyze tonight's 8-race card. I think throughout the card, there are some really competitive races. I think there's some good chances to make money tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there was a lot of races that took me a while to handicap, and usually when that's the case, we get a few horses that go off, 3-1, 4-1. So a lot of horses that you could take in there and hopefully make some money. We'll see what happens as we go through the card.
I'm going to take a chance in the very first race, the opening race, a non-winners of 3 claimer. The bottom price of $7,500 is the claiming tag. They're going 6.5 furlongs. There's one scratch out of here, number 5, God's Gold. In this type of race, I tend to shy away from the shorter priced horses, but, I'm going to take a shot, but I see you're going with a favorite here. You're going to try to get off, like at the U.S. Open, try to get in that fairway early and maybe, get cleanly off the first tee.
Yeah, let's start it off tonight with a winner. Number 8, Take Action. That's going to be the horse that I'm on. 9 to 5 morning line for this 5-year-old gelding. What I like about this horse is last time out, he destroyed the field, won by 8 3/4 lengths. That came right here at Lone Star Park. The only time this horse has ever been out here in our track. I love it when horses take to the track, have a big win like this one. Take Action was claimed last time, so he goes to Danny Pish. It's going to be the first start for Danny Pish today. Just anecdotal evidence, or no evidence at all, but it always seems like that Pish's horses, when they make their first start for the barn, seem to do well. So after that win last time, this horse had been running in Southern California, picked up that win here. New barn today, back where this horse won by 8 3/4 last time. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. Even though that last field wasn't the best, 6 horses in that race, but still beat Blocked, who came on to win his next race.
Well, and he did it wrapped up late. He was, the rider that day was completely wrapped up on him late, and he just destroyed that field. But it was, almost 2 months ago. But, he's had a little time off. He's worked a couple times for Pish since then. So
makes the class drop here in for $7,500 compared to those bigger races that he was running in out west. I don't know. I like Take Action here in this spot. I got the 6 Colonel Barton second. This is another one that's making a class drop. Horse, did pick up a win back at Oaklawn earlier this year. Ran a second in the race immediately after that up in Hot Springs as well. And then I got the number 4, Board Certified, as my third pick. I wanted to talk about this one. This horse has been claimed a couple times. If you look, this horse had a pretty good season at Sam Houston. Didn't pick up any wins, but, hit the board quite a bit, some seconds and some thirds. This horse has hit the board in 4 of 7 so far this year. We'll see what happens with Board Certified, but I think Take Action takes the opener here.
Yeah, David Cabrera will ride for Stuart Elliott on Board Certified. He takes the blinkers off. He did have a good, Beyer fig-wise and result-wise, he did have a good winner at Houston. I'm going to go with Take Flight in here. There's a lot to kind of look askew at his form. His recent form is not good at all, but he's been really overmatched. Sarah Davidson's only had this horse for 2 starts. She takes him off the turf today, puts him on the dirt. If he does have a strength, it looks like maybe the dirt is a strength, gets class relief. He gets dropped to a level that I think he can compete at. He really, and the length of my PPs is, he's run well on a few occasions, but he's pretty much been overmatched a lot. Maybe the surface switch will help. Second time blinkers. It's a little bit of a reach because Motap and Take Action have done more and have achieved a bit more. I think if Take Action runs his best race off that little layoff, that short layoff, he's the best in here. But I'm gonna try to get a price in race 1. Second race, Texas bred fillies. This is an optional claimer. It can be for those who have not won 2 races other than, or which have never won 4 in their career, or they could be in for $30,000. Scratch the 2 Austin Gustafson trainees in here, number 3, Turn on the Bling, and number 5, Dixie Carousel.
Yeah, so I'm on number 6, Successful Path. This is the kind of horses that I've had some success on this year. Brett Calhoun trained. Horse has been running well. This horse has been put together back-to-back wins, both of them right here on our track. One of them was at this 6.5 furlongs as well. Putting all those things together, I like Successful Path here. I mean, last time out, beat a next out winner too after won the race by 4 3/4. I really like this 3-year-old filly here. Give me the 6. Another one I want to talk about was number 7, Reason Over Riches. 8-1 morning line for Reason Over Riches. I'll make a case for this horse right here. 2 out of the last 3 races were stakes races right here at Lone Star Park. Finished 4th in both of those. Both of those were fields of 8, so beat half the field in those races. This horse has had some other on the board finishes, one in between those 2 right here at Lone Star Park. Horse picked up a win down at Sam Houston earlier this meet. I think there's a lot to like about Reason Over Riches. I mean, if you don't like Successful Path and want to try to beat the favorite here, maybe the 7's the one you take. I see you've got someone else in your picks as well, but yeah, I like Successful Path over Reason Over Riches here in a second.
Yeah, Successful Path has just the only minor concern is the Beyer figs haven't quite been enough to say she might dominate this field. Plus, she hasn't, except for one occasion, taken on older rivals. She's the only 3-year-old in here, but still, I mean, she was so good last time on May 17th. Just dominated a optional claiming group of 3-year-old fillies bred in Texas. I'm not sure this group of older mares is that fearsome that she can't just step right in and dictate terms in this race. I went with Is a Tiz as the second pick. 3 tries on this track, has a win and a second. Drops out of the Bluebonnet Stakes opening night, which featured 2 or 3 really nice fillies, and she ran last in that race, beaten 9 lengths, but has trained pretty regularly and decently since. Matt Hebert is dropping her into a spot where she could be effective, at least for a minor award. And then, you can't completely overlook Reclusive, who comes back out of a really tough spot with Spirit Wind, an accomplished girl in the Memorial Day Sprint against all comers, not just Texas breds. She beat 5 horses in that race, was beaten over 10 lengths, but, the class drop might help Reclusive too, so. On to race 3, 5/8 of a mile, $7,500 maiden claimers in this one, and my top pick got scratched. I was going to go with the first-timer for Ray Ashford, number 8, Hardball, but Hardball is out. I scratch into Chrome Candy here, who for some reason didn't face Arkansas breds when he was campaigning at Oaklawn. Rick and I were guessing maybe him and No More Whining, the 5, weren't registered Arkansas breds for some reason and couldn't run for that big Arkansas bred money in Hot Springs. But No More Whining, your top pick in here. The Arkansas breds seem to dominate this. I've got Arkansas breds 1, 2, and 3 in my picks.
Yeah, I took No More Whining on top. I thought it was a toss-up between him and Chrome Candy. So I went with No More Whining because of the not as much experience. Chrome Candy's 0 for 9.
Yep.
I don't like that.
It's one of the reasons I tried to beat him in the first place.
Yeah.
But now I'm stuck with him.
I'm not going very creative in trying to beat Chrome Candy, but No More Whining. 3 of the 4 races in this horse's career were up at Oaklawn Park. Was running for a $20,000 tag up there. This horse, if you look, has had trouble in 3 out of those 4 races. Right, 3 out of his 4
not
lifetime.
A good starter. Yeah.
We had one like that last week, and the same thing happened. I think it was off slow is what you saw all throughout the program, and sure enough, he got off slow again. So hopefully this horse will be all right, get out the gate well tonight. I think if the horse does it, we'll see this one go to the front and hopefully win the race. But, that last race was at the $7,500 level. It was a 5th-place finish out of 9 horses. But, there's not a lot that excites me in this field. I had No More Whining. Chrome Candy second. The same thing. This horse is running those $20,000 races up in Arkansas. Not finishing real bad, but not winning and not looking super in those races, but just kind of mid-pack. So we'll see if running mid-pack is good enough to win a race out here today. But I got it 5-4, and then I took the first-time starter, Raffy C, as my third choice. In a field like this where I see a bunch of horses that, like I said, 0 for 9. There's one in here that's 0 for 10, 0 for 13. Give me a first-time starter. Let's see if this horse can't break out of the gate, run like a rocket. I mean, especially in these 5 furlong sprints, being on the rails, not a bad spot to be. It's a shorter way to go around the oval, especially if you don't have a ton of speed. At least you're there on the inside. The shortest way around is on the inside, right?
Yeah.
So give me that first-time starter as my third pick.
Yeah, I was thinking first-time starter in hardball because, the ones that have run a lot, like Impoverished and Chrome Candy, just, they've all dropped to this level previously and not succeeded. Chrome Candy and No More Whining come out of the same race. Chrome Candy beat No More Whining by 2 3/4 lengths, running 4th and 5th. Neither one of them necessarily lit it up. Chrome Candy might be a little closer to the pace. No More Whining doesn't have much speed. Might be able to close some ground, but it's only a 5/8 race. There's not much to choose from between those two. One's a 4-year-old. My pick's a 4-year-old. Rodney's a 3-year-old, but at this time of year, I don't know how much difference that makes. So, and Impoverished, the way Asmussen's winning these days, he's been getting 2 or 3 per card. So
yeah, that's what it seems like.
And he's sometimes been doing it with horses whose form is kind of mediocre. But if it's Impoverished's day, I'm not going to have a winner in that race. Pick 5 begins with the 4th race. Today's carryover, $345. And race 4, maiden special weight fillies will go 5/8 of a mile. These are 2-year-olds. Scratch the 5 Spirit of Veterans. And, there's some interesting ones in here. I have a feeling that, you and I both went with 10 Saw Bolt. But there's a bunch of ways you could go, I think, in this one.
Yeah, but 10 Saw Bolt, I talk about it all the time. I love this angle. Second start, 10 Saw's Bolt had a pretty good debut for the horse. Finished second, beaten by 2 1/4. Eric Asmussen was aboard that day. He gets to ride again today. The horse was making up a little ground toward the end on the winner.
Golden Cole looked really good that day. The Beyer fig for that race was very slow, as proven by Fast Medicine coming out of that same race, running 3rd in his next start, and his Beyer fig more than doubled. So even though Golden Cole looked good that day, and I thought that was a nice performance, and 10 Saw Bolt outran Fast Medicine, but it was a very slow race. I'm hoping 10 Saw Bolt can, pick it up a little speed-wise, because numbers-wise, Fast Medicine seems to dominate. Yet that being said, Rick Lee, who clocks at least once a week here and sees these 2-year-olds, picked a different horse entirely, the first-timer Cafe Olay. So he's not all that impressed with Fast Medicine either, apparently.
Yeah, but, I feel like there's a difference between a workout and a real race, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, there's no doubt about
There's
it.
a reason there's a term morning glory, and that's what it is.
But 10 Saw's Bolt, second career start for this filly. I love that. I love it. I love the second start. I love it after this horse had it was a decent race, the first one. So nowhere to go but up, I hope, for 10 Saw Bolt. Hopefully a winner right here in race number 4. I got the 6 Fast Medicine second. This horse has had 2 races of experience. Ran against 10 Saw's Bolt in that opener. Finished 2 lengths behind, but the next race, the horse came back firing out of the gate, tried to stay up there the whole way around, ended up getting caught. But I think Fast Medicine can still have a good run tonight. You got the top jockey and Harry Hernandez aboard, so something to like there. And then I took number 9 as my third selection.
The thing about, 10 Saw Bolt has every reason to improve and start 2. The thing about Fast Medicine is I thought that she looked very unfocused in the stretch. Her head was real high, and she didn't appear real focused, and she had a pretty good size lead, and then, didn't even salvage second out of it. She just looked unfocused. And, maybe after 2 starts, now she'll start to be a little more professional, but she was very erratic in the stretch in her first race, and I think she continued to be a little erratic in the second start as well. I took Goodness third. He's a half. She's a half to Classic Rick, who we just saw the other day. Classic Rick did win his debut. He's 1 for 10. He's one of those who loves to run second, but he did win his debut. And then a note about Cafe Olay, since Rick picked her. Her dam, Untapped, was a full sister to Untappable, who Steve Asmussen trained and was a champion filly and earned almost $4 million. Untappable was incredible. And Untapped, the dam of Cafe Olay, is her full sister. So there's good breeding there. In fact, 2 horses that run right now here for Asmussen, Unload and Contour, are both half brothers or sisters to Cafe Olay. Doesn't mean she's going to win today, but there's good breeding there. On to the 5th. This is a wide open race. Most of the top buyer figs in this race seem to be from dirt races. And so now we're on turf at 7.5 furlongs. Those don't always translate. Eric Asmussen rides the one Lewis the Champ instead of Stuart Elliott. $50,000 optional claimer, or you can be in if you're a non-winner of 2 life. And these are exclusively 3-year-olds.
You know what? I'm taking number 4, Kentucky Dawn. Horse has 5 races of turf experience underneath his belt, has a win, a second, and a third from those 5 races. One of those thirds came in the most recent start, which is right out here at Lone Star Park. Was in the allowance optional claiming that day. Was a $75,000 was the claiming tag in that one. So I guess you can say it's a drop here from $75,000 to $50,000. These allowance optional claimings, right? Even though I guess the horse isn't in for the tag, but under the allowance conditions. But Kentucky Dawn, this horse was a winner 2 starts back, broke its maiden at Sam Houston Race Park on the turf, going around 2 turns, followed that back up with another mile race around 2 turns last time where the horse ran third. We can see this horse was knocking on the door a little bit earlier this year, back in January, last fall at Remington, coming close to picking up some wins. I think Kentucky Dawn gets the job done here. I think this horse is ready to go. We'll see what happens. I got number 7, No Trouble, as my second choice here. This horse also coming out of a pretty big race right here at Lone Star Park on the turf. That was 1 mile. Finished 5th in that one. I mean, it was the same one that Kentucky Dawn was in. You can see in the comments, impeded late. So I didn't watch the replay, but I figure if the horse didn't get impeded, he's going to have a better finishing position.
He kind of lost. I went back and watched that. I mean, he was saving ground all the way, and he kind of lost his path. I don't know if he was, impeded in terms of a horse just shaved him right off, but he was running toward the inside, and suddenly there was a horse in front of him. And I think it was more because he couldn't get up in there. But, he didn't have a clear path through the stretch, but it might have cost him 4th, maybe. It didn't cost him the win for sure.
Yeah, but, that was the only time this horse has been on grass, right? Before that, you look 2 starts back, this horse ran second in the Mind That Bird Derby. Had a decent race last time, I guess you can say. But, give me No Trouble. I think that this horse could have a nice run. And at 8-1, this could be one worth making a wager on.
I went with Lewis the Champ. This is a race that's super wide open for me. By the way, there's a scratch out of here. The main track only runner, number 9, Rusty, is not in. Lewis the Champ, he didn't do much last time, but he was hung up very wide. He was 4 to 5 wide every step. He didn't run much in the race with Kentucky Dawn. I have a feeling today, though, he's trained reasonably well since that race. He's had 4 works for Asmussen. He was an expensive colt as a yearling. He did break his maiden on the turf like a bunch of these have. But I just have a feeling he might improve a little. He's had a month off, been training, draws the rail, so hopefully he won't get a 4 to 5 wide trip this time. I'm going to give him a shot in a race where I think it's really wide open. Magical Mark, the Broberg entry, blinkers off, and a gelding. So 2 equipment changes for him. So and he's a key speed guy. He really could. He's never followed up on that very impressive 10-length win here last year in his debut. He's never run close to that since. But he could, with the ultimate equipment change and the other equipment change, he could run a little better today on the stretch out. So I took him second over your horse. But this is a super wide open heat. On to the 6th. No scratches out of this one. Non-winners of 2 claiming for $5,000 here, going 7/8 of a mile. I'm going with the hot hand in Changing Times, who won his last race, broke his maiden at the bottom level. You're going with Roman General, who, takes a little drop, gets a little class relief. So, I mean, he figures right there, although I just have him fourth.
Well,
He figures right there.
Roman General, I mean, I'll have to make a case for why I like this horse. I mean, 2 starts back, this horse broke its maiden. Did it right here at Lone Star Park at 7 furlongs. Won that race by 8 3/4 lengths, so a pretty good margin of victory there. Now, it was on a sloppy track, so maybe the horse just woke up and said, hey, I want to run in the mud today.
Could be.
Because some of the other fast tracks, if you look back to Sam Houston, weren't the best. I mean, was handily beaten
He does seem to
in
like
2
a
of
little
those races.
moisture in the track.
But when this horse was running at $7,500 level, I mean, granted they were maiden claiming races. I mean, a first and a second.
That's everybody's level pretty much in this race.
Yeah, and I mean, he stepped up, went to 10,000 non-winners of 2 last time. Finished 4 of 10. He says just missed third. So I mean, the horse was up there toward the front. But now dropping to 5,000, you would figure that class relief is only going to help out Roman General. Give me this horse on top here. I think Iron Diego can put this horse across the finish line. I took the 5, Daryl's Kleptomaniac, as my second choice. Only 2 races for this horse. The first one was a win that was back at the beginning of the meet on the 21st of April. Took 3 weeks off or something like that. Came back in a $5,000 race. Ended up 5th in that one, beaten by 9 1/4. But you know what? This horse is a 5-year-old. This is only the 3rd career start for this horse. Maybe this horse has matured a little bit and is going to be ready to go today. I got the 5 second. And then I got your pick, Changing Times, as my 3rd selection. So I'll go ahead and let you take care of this. But I love horses that come in off a win.
Yeah, he had a nice win last time. Earned a pretty good buyer for a bottom-level maiden, 63 buyer. He stretches out. He's never been 7/8. I'm a little worried about that. He was absolutely just he was drubbed at Oaklawn. I mean, he couldn't get out of his own way. Now, he comes out of the same race as No More Whining, or is that the horse's name?
Yeah, for
No
race
More
1,
Whining and Chrome Candy. They all come out of the same race, and this was the least regarded Arkansas bred. Those other 2 guys were Arkansas breds. They were well bet or better bet. This guy was 8-1 for Calhoun and won the race. Was very sharp there, opened up early, won by 2 lengths. It's amazing that, well, it's not amazing, but it's interesting that he wasn't claimed, maybe because he is an Arkansas bred, and this time of year there isn't chances to run for that big money at Hot Springs. But he won like a good thing and stays with Calhoun, stretches out. I don't love him, but I'm going to stay with the hot hand. Iowa Hawkeye, I mean, I picked him 2 races ago. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see a horse from Wyoming Downs and the White Point Fair or whatever that thing in Ely, Nevada is. I'd love to see a horse like that win at a big track, but I don't know. Rick picked him. I couldn't quite summon the
Rick's from Iowa, right? Isn't he an Iowa Hawkeye?
We did talk about that. He was born in Iowa, yes. Grew up in Hot Springs or in Arkansas, but yes, technically Rick was foaled in Iowa. So he mentioned that last time. It's part of the reason I think he picks him every time. On to the 7th. Well, really, you could pick almost anybody in that race and not be too far off. Texas bred non-2 claimers. 7,500 here in race 7. Scratch number 1, Rumor Starter, who was Christopher Elliott's first riding win back in April. I actually thought that horse fit a little bit in here, but nonetheless, that leaves us with a field of 11.
And I think we're both on the same horse, right? Number 2, Bubba's Reckless. Now, this horse last 2 races showed that likes to be out there in front. It's got some speed. Last time out, this horse was in an allowance optional claim, $50,000, right? Drops here for $7,500. Yeah. Before that, I mean, this horse won a maiden special weight out here, was a stakes runner before that, and now it's in here for $7,500. Definitely some class relief for Bubba's Reckless. We'll see if this horse can get out there and lead it gate to wire is what I'm projecting they're going to try to do, but I don't know much about strategy. Give me the 2, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they're going to have to catch him. He has. He really did hop on the express elevator to the bottom, though, after that last race. But yeah, I mean, his last two starts, he's gone straight to the lead. Whipped Maiden's doing that, but then he couldn't do it against decent non-winners of two optional claiming types.
Yeah, then I got the 3 Ghost Cowboy as my second choice. I mean, last time this horse was in for $10,000, it was beaten by 18 lengths. But you know what? When this horse has been in for 5,000, he's been right up there. Running second. Yeah. Going to try 7,500 tonight for the claiming tag. We'll see what happens with Ghost Cowboy, but I think this horse is good enough to finish in the mix. And then I got number 8, Rusty Gadget. Long shot I want to talk about. 12-1 morning line for this horse. It's going to be the first start with the new barn for Ronnie Cravens. He sends out a lot of good horses. This horse, you can see, has shown some speed in the past as well. Running in those maiden claiming races out here. This horse was up there toward the front. Pretty much broke his maiden leading at gate to wire. I like Ernesto Valdez Jimenez named today. I like the horses when he gets out there on a speed horse. I really think that he's hard to beat and can ride well out there on the front end. So here in race 7, give me 2, 3, 8.
I'm on Bubba's Reckless's bandwagon, too, as much as you can in this field. I went with Texan Farmer as a second pick. I like horses that are, getting away from being consistently in too tough. And this guy, I mean, he's been, 6 to 15 to 1, so it's not like he's been buried at 50 to 1 in his races, but he's been facing much better caliber Texas bred since he broke his maiden. He likes to sprint. He's not overly fast early, but I'm going to take a try for Texan Farmer. Ernesto Torres does a really good job hitting the board at least, if not winning, with a fairly limited number of starters. Ghost Cowboy is interesting because I really don't think he's a sprinter by trade. He's only 0 for 2 at this distance. He's more of a distance horse, but, he's second-time Broberg. Broberg seems to like to claim him, step him up, see what he's got. They don't run well at the higher level, then bring them back to a more realistic level, and that seems to be what he's doing there with Ghost Cowboy. And now on to the 8th and final. At 4 scratches out of this one. 2 of the scratches take some of the early speed out of this race. I think this race originally set up with a hot pace, but I still might be a little hot, but not as much as before. A mile on turf, first level allowance. Scratch number 2, Storm Man. He was one of the speedy types. Scratch the 4, Ringside. He's coming off a nearly wire-to-wire win. Scratch the 13, Escaping the Blues. And the 14, Mr. Be Quiet. That means both the 11 and 12 have gotten in. Both merit chances. This is a really good nightcap. There's a lot of ways you can go. $1,350 in the high 5 carryover.
Yeah, so not a good way to end it today, especially if you hit that carryover in the super high 5. I'm going with a long shot here in the last race. That's going to be number 1, Night Wind. All right, this horse has had 7 different starts on turf courses, has won 2 of those starts. Especially the one I'm really keen on is the most recent race. That was an allowance race right here at Lone Star Park. It was at this 1 mile distance. It was on the turf course. Horse won that race by a length. Not bad at all there. I mean, if you look at the 3 races before that, we got a second and a couple thirds as well. Horse has been finished in the money in 4 of 7 right here at Lone Star Park. Has finished in the money at this 1 mile distance in 6 of 8. So a lot to like about Night Wind. Give me this horse. 12 to 1 was the morning line on this one. I got the 11 Solid Country Gold as my second choice. Coming in off the also eligible list. I mean, this horse had a solid second last time out over our turf course. Has run a lot of times on the grass. 16 grass starts. Has a couple wins. 4 seconds and 4 thirds to show for it. Has a win at this distance as well. I think the horse is moving the right way. We'll see if Solid Country Gold can't get up and hit the board. And I got the number 3, Brother Reed. Your top choice is my third one.
Yeah, the Beyer par for this race is 76. So the Beyer system thinks if you can run a 76 or better, you win the race. He ran a 78 last time in stalking the pace. He was reserved. He rallied. He swung up 4 wide and rallied and won and did it really nicely. That was almost a month ago. He hasn't worked since for Ray Ashford, but he's a pretty reliable closer in a race where I think there's liable to be some speed from horses like Optimus Cat, for example, maybe Sarah's Shaman. He has a pretty high pace figure. I'm going to take a chance on the closer here. Night Wind's chances now are a lot better, I think, now that some of that speed scratched, because he can be pretty forwardly placed himself. and he drew the rail. I didn't use him in the picks, but he had a really nice race last time. He hasn't done a lot against open company like this race, but he's certainly done a lot against Texas breds. But I'm going with Brother Reed just off the strength of a nice race last time. Solid Country Gold, he always runs. He runs about the same race every time. You got to go back a way to find his last win. I'm not sure when it was. I didn't look it up, but it wasn't last year and it isn't this year. So he's at least on an 0 for 13, but he's constantly lighting the board and contending. Leandro Goncalves, by the way, is going to ride him, not Stuart Elliott. He certainly factors in this race. He's liable to get a wide trip, I'm feeling. So Sarah Shaman, who's Rick Lee's pick, could have a lot of speed. We just don't know much about Sarah Shaman. I mean, he switches from Saffie Joseph to Bob Young. His work pattern is pretty good. His only turf race was a goofy 1 5/16 lengthy long race at Kentucky Downs.
Up and down hills, around weird turns.
Looked like the distance slapped him in the face on that one, but I mean, that's okay. It's a 1 5/16. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of Sarah Shaman. He could just go out and win it wire to wire, or he could fold. I wasn't willing to take a shot like Rick was on him. So interesting nightcap. Some good races today. And then tomorrow and Sunday, 1:35 starts. Should be interesting cards this weekend as well. I'm looking forward to all the action.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend to be at the racetrack. It's going to be nice and warm.
Yeah.
Free hat giveaway this weekend. Father's Day on Sunday. Yeah.
Make plans to join us early tomorrow. Be among the first 1,500 fans to get a Lone Star Park cap. And then Father's Day on Sunday. All right, Rodney, thanks a lot. And since we won't do the show together this weekend, happy Father's Day in
Appreciate
advance.
it.
That'll do it for us tonight. We've got 30 minutes to post for Fast and Firm. Good luck here at Lone Star Park.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Sitting and watching the races.